Hey everyone, it's Diego VITERI. Welcome to a new video of VITERI Boxing. One of the main problems when you start boxing is that they teach you only one guard. Like one guard is going to be useful for any distance, but actually you need to adapt your guard for every distance, long range, mid range and short range. So let's begin and I'll show you how to do it. Doesn't matter what style of boxing you like, if you like to switch, if you're a switch boxer, if you like to attack, if you like to close the gap, be in a short range to attack your opponent, or maybe create some distance and fight on the back foot. Whatever you do, the main point in boxing is to make your opponent uncomfortable. If he likes to create some distance, you of course want to close the gap and take away the space so he can't move. If he likes to close the gap, you need to create that space to make your opponent uncomfortable. So the main point or the main thing you need to understand are three things in order to win any fight. Number one is distance. If you control distance, you are probably going to win the fight. Number two is rhythm, and number three is how you position your body in accordance to the range you are with your opponent. So before looking into how you have to position yourself in each of the distances, you need to understand the different distances in boxing. Number one is the short range. Short range is when you are inside of this circle, inside of his arms. The short range punches, a lot of hip movement. Mid range is when you can touch your opponent, maybe stretching your arm. You can still touch your opponent. That's mid range, when you can stretch your arm and touch your opponent. And long range is when you have to step to touch your opponent, or maybe skip or dart forward in order to touch your opponent. First, let's begin with the long range stance, the regular guard. So first, of course, you need to understand that you need balance. You need a line from the tip of the toe to your ankle. From there, your rear arm is going to be touching your ribs, in front of your ribs, to always cover your liver. Your hand is going to be open so you can cover more space in your face. You're going to turn your torso so you can protect your center line. And the most important thing here in the long range is our front arm is going to be forward. It's going to be forward. We're going to use it like fencing, like our sword. And why do we want this? We want this because we want to have our main weapon, our longer weapon, closer to our target. So we're going to be playing with this with our opponent like a fencer, basically like a fencer. We are going to be bothering, we're going to be touching, moving, and we are not going to be so much aware of our body. So that's why usually when you're in a long range, you use a higher guard. A higher guard because you don't get that many punches when you're in the body when you're in a long range, because they're easy to see them coming. If I see a punch coming to my body, I just deflect it. I can cover it. It's really easy. That's why I have a higher guard when I'm in a longer range. Okay, so let's understand rhythm in boxing. Okay, so if we're going to talk about rhythm, there are two types of rhythm in boxing. We have short rhythm and long rhythm. Normally, when we are in a long range, we use both of them. What does it mean, rhythm? Rhythm means how we transfer our weight from one leg to the other. So a long range will mean I will transfer my weight moving forward and backward. This is a long range. Normally, when you're in long range, you use this, moving to the front. This is a long rhythm. Long rhythm. What's a short rhythm is transferring your weight a lot faster, not moving your legs too much, but moving your torso. So I transfer my weight easier from one side to the other. So when I'm in a long range, I use both of them. Sometimes I'm with a high guard, I'm moving like that, I'm going in and out, in and moving to an angle, or moving in and to an angle, I'm moving to the other side. Or maybe I just stay here in the long range, moving with a short rhythm. So in the long range, you use both rhythms. So now let's move into our mid-range. We were fighting in the long range, but now that we're moving forward and we're closer to our opponent, we need to be aware of our body a little bit more, because it's a lot harder to see our punches coming. So if we are closer, we're going to bring our arms closer to our torso, and it's really important to understand that from this position, really close, or in the mid-range, where I can touch my opponent just stretching my arm, we're going to use two things. we're gonna power opponent, just taunt him with little punches, so I can provoke punches from him. And number two, I need a lot of head movement in this position. So that means in this position we don't use a long rhythm. It doesn't make sense if I'm in a short, in a mid-range, to use a long rhythm. If I move in and out, I'm gonna get crushed with a punch. I'm too close of him to be moving in and out. So in the mid-range, we only use short rhythms. We only use short rhythms, moving side to side, a lot of head movement, touching our opponent, and provoking punches so we can counter our opponent. Normally, in this position or in this range is where Canelo does his magic. Now we move into our close range. How we need to position our feet is more important than how we position anything else. So the most important thing is you bring your rear leg forward, squaring yourself. Basically what you're doing here in the close range is bringing your rear leg forward so you can take a space out of your opponent. So you're here, you take a space out of him. It's really difficult for him to hit. If I have a normal stance, a regular stance, I give a lot of space for him to punch me. So normally when I'm here in a square stance, the main war or the main battle in this short range is for me to take space out of him and create space for me. Little movements to create space for myself and take a space out of him. So always staying close. My square feet are gonna allow me to move my head from one shoulder to the other. And normally in this position, you are looking to take your opponent out of his position. So you move your head, you move your opponent with your head, you use your shoulder or your forearms to move your opponent and to maybe punch to his body or to his head. So the position of your body here is more important. And one more thing is that rhythm is completely gone. Of course, in a short range, you're not going to be using in and out. You're too close to your opponent, and you're not going to use the short rhythm. You're not going to be moving side to side. You are looking to take your opponent's space and to take him out of position by manipulating his stance, his guard, and pushing him a little bit without any fall, of course, just by pushing a little bit, creating space and some punches. Thanks everyone for watching my video. Remember to subscribe, like, and share with other people, and always make sure to adapt your guard depending on the distance you're with your opponent, and always play with different rhythms depending also in the distance you are. So whenever you know your distance with your opponent, it's really easy to know how to fight and to, of course, win any fight. So see you next week.